justifying a genocide, for continuing to justify it, for defending Israel. Anyway, I'm going to bring in friend of the show, Noah Colwin. Noah, I'm bringing in my Jewish advocate, my token, Noah Colwin, to. Oh no! Here we
changed it up.
We changed it. We have a go more further.
Oh, further. Over this way,
all the way to the orange mark.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
you got a mark down there.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
brother. Wow. It's legit.
Yeah, come close into the microphone, of course.
Yeah.
But,
that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is. Noah Colwin in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Noah Colwin is here, visiting once again.
Hanging.
Yeah. And looking skinny as well. That's what people are saying in the chat. But I also noticed it. I didn't want to say anything, but a Jewish guy called Noah. You don't see that very often. I agree.
Pretty rare.
Yeah, very rare.
Although I'm bummed because when I was a kid, Noah was kind of a rare name, and now
you
they're like lots of kids. Yeah, and they're all Christian. I'll be honest.
Yeah. So
I don't think if all Jews got called Noah, it really moved the needle on anything.
Yeah. Noah's Ark.
That's our story.
Yeah. It's her story.
No. That's I don't know if you know that. That story actually belongs to the state of Israel.
Okay. Well, good to know. So we're watching Joe Scarborough fucking lose his mind. And
he's mad at you.
He's mad at everyone.
But didn't he say he's never listened? He said he hates you, but I've never spoken to him. I never listened to him.
Yeah, we didn't even get to that part yet. But
oh, good.
Yeah, Noah's mic is a bit loud. Okay, I'll lower it.
Noah's mic is a bit loud.
Okay, I'll lower it a little bit. You don't really hear that often on this broadcast about my guest being a little bit too loud. But here, let's get back to the video.
We're bringing this up now because it seems an awful lot like what was happening in 2024 when Democrats couldn't get out of their own way to win an election they should have won.
He's so mad.
Yeah, he's
so mad.
His argument also revolves around like electability when it's like, the electability argument is if you just shut the fuck up about Israel.
He's so mad, dude.
Yeah, I'm
sorry. I'm hung up on how like he's I don't know if I've ever seen. I mean, not that like I'm a Joe Scarborough scholar.
I'm a Joe Scarborough head.
Oh,
so I can tell you as a Joe Scarborough academic. This is what I studied in college.
Oh yeah, you were in regional studies with a focus in Scarborough country.
Yeah, communications degree. It's crazy. I did not see Joe Scarborough this mad after Trump got elected. He is more mad about this stuff, about my existence in media, and Daria Lisa going to a pro-Palestine rally on October 8th, where she was right but too early by Joe's case. I guess like January 6th is the last time he was this mad. Like, I don't know. He wasn't this mad when Trump won. I'll tell you that much.
I mean, but he's like angry. Like he's had part of it. Look, I also believe a bit in the principle that like part of sometimes when you see people get spitting mad on TV, that's partly because they had to work themselves up into it. It's a lot easier to do your job of like being on TV and talking about bullshit if you can like amp yourself up. And I mean, this is like the trick to ESPN. This is how Fox News people do it, is that like it's way easier to and makes for better television if you're just persistently agitated and you work yourself up into that frenzy than it is to discuss things like an adult, frankly.
He's so mad. He's mad like Mika saw the meat pick. You know what I mean? Like that's how fucking angry he is. Like he caught Mika looking at the meat pick or something this morning.
He like comes home, he saw the Rolling Stone spread, and it's just like, mother, like Joe Pesci, like motherfucker.
And Mika's like, no, you don't understand. I was reading the articles. Like I was reading the article. It's just I don't know how the Schmeat pick made it into my time. It's crazy. Have you seen Debbie Dingle talking about?
Oh yeah, I was like, I don't get it, but he's handsome or whatever. I mean, I thought that was.
She's like, yeah, I
appreciated the honesty.
She's like, yeah, he takes his shirt off and he's working out. Anyway, let's continue.
Send your metaphor. The Democrats have the ball at the 2-yard line. Now they have to call the right play. And there are ways they could botch this. There's no question there. Getting at the ball to 2 doesn't mean you're going to score. Seattle Seahawks about a decade ago in a Super Bowl is evidence of that. So this is where Democrats are, and that's why there is such scrutiny. It is understandable why there's such energy on the left, and we've just gone through all the reasons why. There's a lot of energy there. People are tired. People are sick. People think these fundamental issues need to be addressed. But that energy comes with a spotlight, and some questions have to get answered, and that's why we're looking at so many of these races right now as we head into the stretch run of this election year. We talked about Wisconsin. Joining us now live from Madison is MS Now reporter Will McDuffie. Will, good to see you. What are you hearing from voters ahead of tomorrow's closely watched primary?
That's right, Hank. I'm here in the streets of Milwaukee, and they're saying no to Hasanabi Piker. This is the primary concern of the electorate broadly, and that is what they are angry about.
Just imagining you're spending like all this money, like you send out like a camera crew, you've got producers, you've got like people doing all this money, all this labor intensive, and it's to have a guy standing out of state capitol so that he can answer questions about Hasan Piker.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Because of the candidates involved.
Well, I mean, we heard AOC kind of laugh off the idea of woke one, but that's resonating with voters here because Democrats we've met who don't like Francesca Hong are citing things like her tweets to cancel Thanksgiving and abolish the police. And she has said that those are bad takes that she made 5-6 years ago under the stress of being a small business owner and being a student. But mind you, she made those comments when she was either running for the state assembly or was already sworn in. So she was a public.
I don't care.
Dave Weigel brought this
man.
up. Dave Weigel brought this up in his analysis before, but it's very strange that there's been a total reversal where Francesca Hong comes on my stream and we talk 2 hours. We talk for 2 hours about policy, about what she's going to do for the voters, what she cares about. And then she goes on mainstream media and they're like, well, you made a Thanksgiving tweet where you said folks with an X in 2020. Why don't you kill yourself? And it's it's completely topsy-turvy. You would expect independent media, people like myself, to be silly and do silly things, care about silly things, talk about silly things. Whereas the sensationalized quick media hit environment has made it so that they're talking about silly things when they go on mainstream outlets for 2 to 3 minutes. Whereas when they're here, they talk about policy for 2 fucking hours.
I mean, look, I'll give my simple answer about why that's the case, which is, do you think that Joe Scarborough could lead an interesting discussion about data center politics? The answer is no.
Yeah, that's true.
I just genuinely believe that the reason they're talking about this is because this is what they're equipped to talk about. Why is ESPN currently in this stupid meathead era? It's because they employ meatheads to talk about takes, and they have fewer people with knowledge, and we're getting reporters, which is to say that this is not just in politics. It's just that obviously, politics arguably matters a little bit more than sports media. And at least in this case, it's Joe Scarborough is just that's not what he talks about. He's not the guy to explain in Wisconsin, part of what's powered Francesca Hong's, campaign to the position that it's in is a lot of resentment and a lot of anger about a whole set of policy issues and realities about people's lives that don't really have to do with Hasan Piker.
The Francesca Hong polls should be a wake-up call for the DC elite to be how are we getting this so wrong? And yet, in their sense of entitlement and their unbelievable smug elitism, they're we shouldn't even, look at our priors and maybe try to analyze what Wisconsin voters are paying attention to, what they care about. And instead of doing that, when you got someone up 20 points, right? So against the established media narrative, instead of looking at the environment of what the voters are demanding, they're no, the voters are wrong. They're just stupid. They're just stupid, wrong, and unaware that she is a bad candidate. And it's unfucking believable. 20 points. She's winning every demographic except for 65 plus, where she's tied with Crowley in the last poll that came out. She's winning every demographic by 60 points. If you go back to like the 18 to 35. She has like a 69 point advantage.
I mean, I think another part of this is, well, and also look, 10 years ago in a different lifetime for me, when I was like a reporter covering Silicon Valley and media, I had a boss, a great reporter named Ed Lee, who told me, just as like an exercise, like look at the average age for the people who watch MSNBC. I guess now that's
MS Now.
Sorry, that's the dead name. MS Now.
Yeah. Multiple sclerosis now.
And Fox and CNN. And what is the commonality? Like the average age, and this is in 2016, like every single one of those networks, the average age of their viewers was into the 60s. For Fox, it was like 69. I think CNN, it was 63. And MSNBC, it was 61. That was in 2016. That was 2016. I do not imagine that those numbers have improved substantially.
No, they've just gotten older.
And so, again, I ask you, like, who is Joe Scarborough making this for? What kind of stuff is he equipped to make? And like, it's, I don't think it's, when I say it's that simple, I think it's like that simple in the dynamic what's going on. What I think is not simple, however, is that these are places and venues where lots of people who do not think like the people on the TV screens, it's still where they get their information. And so, when we look at like Crowley's support, I just, I'm not a Wisconsin demographics.
By the way,
I'm not a Wisconsin elections effort, but I can't imagine that it's such hard, incredibly like resolute support. It just has to in part to be a function of like, people like Joe Scarborough focusing on this shit.
This is who Joe Scarborough is doing it for. It's it's tailor-made for the Republican midterm strategy that Democrats are in a state of disarray. The base is the base is not united. The base is actually very angry at like the left flank and its manifestation in the form of this like rabble rouser Hasan Piker. That's why it's immediately on Fox News. Joe Scarborough goes scorched earth on Democrats not separating themselves from Hasan Piker. So I repeat my message once again during the night of the primary victory party for Abdul al-Sayed, which is lock in to the consultant class, to the establishment Democrats. You have to recognize what they're doing. This is not a successful message unless you actively try to train the boomers that watch you into believing that the base is actually not united because they just can't get over this fucking hump. We'll fight no matter what, and we'll most likely win no matter what. But it's really annoying to have to fight the Trump forces, to have to fight MAGA, but then also on top of that, to have to fight establishment media as well that presents themselves as, knowing the best interest of the masses, especially the 65-year-old audience that's like 40% of the base of voters broadly that are still getting their notes from MSNBC.
Well, also, I mean, look, I think some of this is a little bit about like these are also a group of people who they wouldn't frame it as such, but the way I see it is that like they want to say in their own decline. And again, I believe that what is happening is like a generational political transfer in a lot of ways. Like that's what we mean when we talk about like how age is such a factor here, right? That it is this like process by which like people who are older are expressing incredible and real anxiety about like the loss of position that they themselves has. They don't consciously see themselves as a generation, of course, but like that is the dynamic we see play out across people of a certain age, generally speaking. And to me, that's, it's like, these people look and they see like, oh, we're getting displaced, but it's not by like Pete Buttigieg. It's not by like the chosen inheritors of our legacy. It's by the engaged, knowledgeable people who all tend to happen, which I think it should tell you something that like most of the people who do have like talent and interest and charisma and who are able to reach other people in that way, that they do tend to come from like at least like one section of the tent. Figure.
David Sirota had a good point to jump off what you're saying. The corporate Dem faction from Carville to Tandon to Scarborough to Iglesias, Ezra, Chait, etc. got so used to issuing political directives from fancy TV studios and social media feeds and seeing those directives loyally followed. Now the populist faction is out in the streets organizing voters and winning, which makes the corporate faction mad. They're losing power and they aren't happy about it.
I'll give a qualified agreement to that, with the qualifying being that I don't think that some of those names were big enough to get used to issue any fatwas.
Okay,
but
fair.
I do think that like, Yeah, like especially Neera Tanden seems extremely obvious that she. I mean, yeah, but like that essentially everybody that she has beefed with on the internet for the last 15 years is coming together to like root for, you know, the death of the political primacy of her wing in the party. I mean, and also look, like she's
same with
like
James Carville.
if you're I just tend to think of it as like Neera's best years were the ones where she had a job that literally did not allow her to fight on Twitter. And now that she's back and doing this, I think it tells you something about the status of let's say like her movement and so forth.
Yeah, she's out here retweeting Epstein and like Rape Tone, who's I don't know if you know that one.
I'm
the
familiar
bald
with
one.
Tech Tone, yeah.
Yeah. Like he's retweeting these like reactionary forces because they're attacking me. And it's like, if you're in the fucking dirt and your primary focus is to disparage like a left media personality, you fucked up. Like,
well, also no, but I mean, like, look, like I think it's even dumber than that. Like Neera Tanden like literally does not do her job. Like straight up.
Yeah.
She runs the Center for American Progress, what is supposed to be like the most influential, substantial left think tank. It's supposed to be incredibly productive.
Yeah.
And she spends all fucking day, not as far as, and I say this as a guy who also spends a bunch of time on Twitter and doesn't mind making posts. Like,
yeah, we're the policy papers.
Like I
we're
don't
the
see
fucking
her.
policy
Like
papers.
she was a senior policy official in the Biden administration. I do not ever see her talking about matters of policy.
Bro,
I do not ever see her with ideas about like what the future of the country should actually be. All I see is her like getting really mad about elections.
Who is worse at their marketed jobs? Organizer memes, which never post memes or ever organizes, or Neera fucking Tanden, who's supposed to be at the Center for American Progress.
And also, look, like we just know that the evidence is that like she's quite bad at running that organization. There was the time that, you know, she outed the name of somebody who had been a victim of, I believe it was sexual misconduct in the workplace, and she outed that in a public setting and caught a little bit of shit. There was a time that she targeted all the employees who worked under her who had been critical of Israel, and then she subsequently had Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, like I like Neera Tanden's actual record of actions speaks for itself.
Yeah,
sorry,
she was brought back. She was literally brought back to CAP so that she could come in, make sure that the previous president of CAP was insufficiently Zionist, was eradicated. His influence was eradicated from the group. And then she also ended up bringing in Anthony Blinken to the board of trustees for the Center for American Progress. So like, it's very clear what her goal is. Her design is to ensure that the prestigious premier left think tank or liberal, you know, I guess somewhat progressive think tank is still churning out like Zionist propaganda. That's her fucking job.
And I mean, I think, look, I do think there are a lot of people at CAP who do perfectly fine work and everything. I think it's more.
Yeah,
like,
I know people.
But of course, we both
there.
do. It's where I see this though is that it's like, yeah, Neera gets to coast on the work of all those people who work for her, who do things that are perfectly anodyne and fine. And obviously, there are those who probably don't. But she gets to coast. You know, she gets to benefit from all their labor so that she can like spend all day on Twitter whining about Abdul spending too much time.
Yeah, look at the board of directors. Look at this. Anthony J. Blinken, like
Who's
John Podesta, Neera Tanden, Donald Sussman. I mean, I guess you got Julian Castro. He's all right.
It's fine. I just think it's like, look, like I just think it's she's not a serious person. She's never been a serious person. She's a political liability in pretty much any context she's ever existed, and she treats everybody else on the left side of the aisle that exact same way, like that they're the carriers of the plague that she is.
Yeah.
Like that's bullshit. Sorry, I just don't. It's never. It's, you know, like it sucks, and it also, what I dislike about it more than anything is probably the like amount of oxygen that she sucks up from other people. Like she derails shit, and it's irritating.
All right, let's
years
continue
ago,
with this.
under the stress of being a small business owner and being a student, but mind you, like sworn in, Milwaukee won in terms of Democrats who spoke to us. They were against Hong because of electability. They just didn't think that she could beat Tom Tiffany in a general election. I mean, we're talking about Wisconsin here, purple state. The success we've seen with DSA has been in like deep blue congressional districts, and now we're talking about a swing state. But she does have a bunch of appeal, and we'll get to that. But I do want to play some sound from a voter who expressed those electability concerns.
I think he is electable in this state.
The implication there is that
It's always so funny that like the primary purpose of mainstream media at this point is to just like badger people with an electability concern that has no proven rate of success, and then go to the people who literally listen to those concerns and interview them to be like, see, we succeeded in finding a guy who trusts our who agrees with our narrative that, like, you know, Crowley is more electable. Now, we've covered extensively why Crowley's not electable, and the polls don't seem to show that he is electable, but you shouldn't feel confident at all.
I just, it's like we're how many years into this like lesson of learning that electability is also not something that exists on a left-right spectrum. Like Donald Trump was more electable than Hillary Clinton in 2016, which is a sentence that like should even
he wasn't, and
you know that like is because people had like different, you know, it's what is electable mean stuff. And I'm not saying that means, I'm not, by the way, saying that means like Hong is more or less electable than anybody. That's not my point. It's just that like I think electability is like it's you know, unless you're talking about like, did somebody say, I don't know, sexually assault somebody else? I don't know just why that might be have a relevant political concern to bring up in a candidate's credibility of late. Like, yeah, that's one thing, but like in general, like electability as like this idea of it's not, I don't know. It's like it's like something like as something for people among the masses and the chattering classes to get super head up about. It just feels boring, misplaced.
Here's a good take, by the way. The reason attack ads targeting candidates over association with Hasan Piker keep not working is because for 90% of the people that would care, it requires explaining who Hasan is first. And at that point, it's just an ad about some guy
this is what the polling
candidate.
shows. Sorry, Hasan, I hate to break this to you, but like nobody knows who you are.
No, I know. That's what I've been saying, but nobody listens to me. None of these guys who talk about me
They
all
don't
day,
understand
every day,
that you have no motion.
Yeah.
You have no hose.
I got no hose, no
You have no
bitches.
stacks.
My weed is not fucking loud. My smoke is not loud
Like
at
you're
all.
pure mid.
Yes.
Pure
I'm
mid.
And for the people that do know me, if they don't like me, they are never voting for a Democrat anyway. And the ones that like me will go out and fucking knock on doors and canvass for a candidate. And it seems to be at least significant enough that candidates are invested in eating the barrage of like media attacks. Dude, this is so funny. This is like, they are so angry about the I'm white Lamau moment. Yeah.
I mean, it matters a lot to them.
Yeah, no,
It's kind of all they got is really, but that's my reaction to that is like, it's, you know, it's like, well, like, it's kind of all that they have. Even if
you're not white, please stop.
Even if they includes like a blue check account in New Delhi that is posting pro-Israel white nationalist identity content all day.
Yeah. What is this? Fox News, racism is hitting a second tower. What is this? Tickets for Hasan Piker, 120 to 1,200. What the fuck is this? Hasan Piker's an anchor baby's parents. Communism is a rich kid hobby. Bro, this has 7 likes. You're literally, what you're doing at that point is just like you're giving this insane narrative more light than it is ever expected to take. Anyway, here's the second part where he continues on with Pablo, my goat. Pablo tries to defend me on the contentious Scarborough media hour.
But because there is a historical analysis instead of a political one, you are missing the opportunity to build a coalition. And so what do? I think you try to avoid the faculty lounge, which is what that sounds like. It sounds like an opportunity to have a conversation that you should be having, not right now in the middle of an election, but at some point more abstractly.
Yeah, did you see this pending community note? Least racist community note in 2026? I'm White Lamau, an essay on the inequality of human races by Gobenau, published in 1855, has classified the Turks as a yellow race, mediocre intelligence at best. The Turks are classified as dense and ponderous. I
just want to give a shout out.
White traits through the practice of white slavery.
I just want to give a shout out to Nikita Beer. You were the worst CEO. Like in Silicon Valley for a time. No, of X he was. He was the head product guy, whatever. He ran the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And it sucked. You blew it. You blew it, dude. It stinks now. It's so bad. And it's like, because you let stuff like this happen. You signed your name next to this stuff, dude. This is you. And now you're gone.
Yeah,
and this is like what most people are going to know you for.
Yeah.
Like this thing that you fucked up. That sucks.
Yeah, but
God, that sucks for him,
but he
dude.
changed the.
Doesn't that suck for him? I think it sucks for him.
He changed the Iranian flag for a day. Remember, in the heat of the the Iranian.
Isn't it funny how the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed longer than he had that job? I bet. I bet you that.
Okay,
I bet
that's
you.
actually true.
I bet you that the Strait will be closed for longer than he had that
Straits
job.
still close. And Nikita no longer is capable of making these decisions at Twitter because he has to leave.
Because he got fired.
Yeah, it's crazy to get fired from Twitter. Like you were Elon Musk's strongest fucking soldier. You did everything he wanted, and you still got fired.
You still got fired. You
And
made
the
it.
Strait-
You
and the Straits
screwed
still
up.
closed.
You made it worse. You did such a bad job, and you still got fired.
Oh,
Still got fired.
it's not great, man. Not great. But hey, he left this wonderful white supremacist platform in the backdrop. All right, let's get back to Pablo.
And in the meantime, you try to point out, look, Hasan Piker, I've talked to Hasan Piker before. I don't think he's Nick Fuentes. I think he's more like Charlie Kirk. And the idea there is
Pablo.
there are people.
God damn it, dude. That's your defense? We sat side by side. He
That's pretty
cooked
funny.
my ass, dude.
Yeah.
He fucking cooked my ass. Damn.
Carry that flame.
Yeah, we gotta.
Well, I think now he's more justified in saying it.
What do you mean? I do carry the flame.
Well,
every
there you go.
goddamn
Then why
day.
are you bitching?
Every day of the week, I carry that motherfucking flame, boys. Okay, let's continue.
People who exist to provoke on the other side. And the question is, as a party, as Dems, do you then hold yourself to a standard that is beyond what, again, the other side equivalent of the aisle is doing? And that's a political calculation for a party that hasn't made a lot of those, frankly.
So I haven't spoken with Hasan Piker and haven't listened to him. When you talk to him,
Wait, so you went on this motherfucking rant? That's crazy. He just admitted that he just never watched me. That's crazy.
did you ask him about 9/11, about the justification for 9/11, or him being unconcerned about Israeli women being?
No, because normal people don't do that. Like, normal people are not like, hey, by the way, like, I know we're hanging out right now, but when you said America deserved 9/11, what was going on there? Like, I disavow you. Like, that's not a normal fucking conversation that takes place.
Being raped on October the 7th. That's not a leading question. I'm genuinely curious.
No.
If you had the opportunity to talk to him about that.
Have not debated him on those issues. I know that that's stuff that I would never say. And the reality of that analysis that he has is familiar. It's the idea of American empire, Joe, and like, what have we wrought that we are now suffering, which is, again, this academic historical analysis from a million feet. But Abdul al-Sayed, from what he's saying now, right? What he's saying is, I would never say it, and it's unconscionable. And that's correct. But I welcome, by the way, that conversation. I don't even think it's a thing Hasan would debate at this point. It's something that you say when you're trying to make a point that forces the mainstream to reckon with all of the costs of what American militarism has done. And I would not say it's ridiculous.
I just don't know how talking about Jewish women being raped has anything to do with
horrible.
What America's foreign policy has wrought. And
Yeah, I mean, this is the Newsbusters. I don't know what else he said. I don't know what else Pablo said. I haven't spoken to Hasan Piker and haven't listened to him. Joe Scarborough explaining that he has extremely strong opinions that require shouting indoors about a person he's never listened to.
Even Ryan noticed it. Like, he's shouting. Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
Also, it's because he has to work himself up because it's a non-issue and he has to like get all high and like it's also the talking about like Israeli women getting raped thing is also a gatelle because it's about like, well, listen, I may have been loudly insisting that Israel should have had any and all means at its disposal to wage what like snowballed within a matter of hours into becoming like, you know, like a genocide by any like sane measure of it. But we need to focus on one of the guys who did call that correctly because of a point that he made in service of that argument that I didn't like. And it's like, all right, this is fucking boring, dude. That's boring. You're boring. You don't. Yeah. It drives me crazy because it's like, what do you do? Like, how do you, he doesn't want to have a conversation. Clearly he's not listening to you.
Yeah, this was a truth too. Hasan Piker's response to 9/11 was awful. The way he lied about WMDs and invaded the wrong country and manipulated the media into cheerleading a criminal war of choice and got thousands of innocents killed. Not cool, man. To which Glenn Greenwald responds, this is a key point about the endless Hasan Piker discourse. This media figure spewing rage and demanding everyone denounce him are friends with and have amiable chats every day with the world's worst war criminals, people who started immoral wars with massive amounts of blood on their hands, who tortured, who kidnapped, who caused the 2008 financial collapse. Whatever you think of Hasan Piker, he did none of that. He hasn't bombed anyone or obliterated families or caused generations of economic deprivation. His main crime, aside from the main one, hostility towards Israel, is that he streams for 12 hours a day every day, and they can find 2 or 3 things that he has said that they repeat over and over, particularly the 9/11 comment, which he retracted and for which he repeatedly apologized. Watching these media figures who are friends with Bush and Cheney, monsters, and Obama fiends who dropped drones on wedding parties and oligarchs who wiped out 2 generations of America's financial security act as if Hasan Piker is some unique evil is utterly farcical. Seems like they arbitrarily pick someone out to use as a symbol and scapegoat for channeling public rage in a politically useful manner. Considering he's a live streamer and the whole purpose of the medium is to be edgy, they also really have found very little to justify even that, as seen in the House resolution personally condemning him, which had almost no substantiation, bizarre and authoritarian system. Like, the wildest part about it is that, like, I've spoken for more than 22,000 hours since I started live broadcasting on Twitch, and it's, you know, those numbers are going to continue growing, right? They have like 5 fucking things, and like 4 of them are not even fucked up, and one of them you could describe, you could explain, and most people would agree with. And it's crazy that that's what they're doing at a time when, like, it's very clear that, like, most of the public don't give a shit about choice words. They don't. They voted for Trump. They voted for Trump to win the presidency twice. So they don't give a shit. Like the whole, like, yo, you got to apologize for your fucking words. I think they should be apologizing for their words. They've been defending Israel even to this day.
But it's like, this is about, like, okay, like, if Joe Scarborough started asking himself those kinds of questions, then it would sort of necessitate asking a whole lot of other questions. And I just don't think he's ready to pull that Jenga brick. And so this is, you know, like, what's kind of sad about this situation, frankly, which is what I was saying about how, like, you can't talk with these people. It's what's sad and frustrating is, like, this is not an invitation to discourse. This is not a good discourse. What it is like
it's really good discourse.
It's a weapon.
For them.
I mean, like, look, it's
really good discourse for them because it literally takes away from having a productive conversation
well,
about anything.
It becomes a thing, like put it this way, right? Like, it becomes a question that they use, a framing device that they use when talking with an AOC, when talking with an Abdul, when talking with literally anybody whose politics are somewhere to the left of Rahm Emanuel. Yeah. Like, they will get asked about Hasan Piker now. Even if their politics are to the right of Rahm Emanuel, they will get asked about Hasan Piker now. Yeah. But that's not my point. My point is that, like, if you're a progressive, you are going to be held to account for whatever it is that you say fine.
Yeah.
And that's just, like, it's not actually like they're not interested in, like, you know, having a conversation about any of this stuff. Or, I mean, having a conversation with you. It's they want to use your whole existence as a cudgel. So they're going to recycle the same 4 quotes until, and, you know, listen, we could workshop this today. We could give them a new quote.
Yeah, I'll say something crazy.
We could do that today. Like, right? Maybe that would be a good use of time.
Yeah. This is, I think, a pretty good button to end this segment on. It's wild at the left's excesses because it goes back to the woke 1, woke 2 argument that we were having, or the conversation we were having earlier, that, like, the left's excesses on woke 1 were just, like, bad tweets or silly tweets.
They also, weren't. I mean, I don't know if I don't want to be totally duplicative, but, like, well, first I want to preface anything that I say on this with that, like, I despise the pejorative phrase of like how people talk about and use the word woke now. It has felt like racism won in that case, and that, like, people now use, like, a piece of AAVE in this, like, totally, like, desultory way that I've never particularly liked or found comfortable, and I think it's cheap and lame. but it's just the world we live in now, and so I despise it. So with that preface aside, is also that like I posted this photo on Twitter earlier, but like 12 years ago, I think it was like 12 or 11 years ago, when I was working for Recode, a website that Kara Swisher ran, and a news site covering Silicon Valley. It was later bought by Vox, but at like our flagship tech conference, Jack Dorsey was there sitting with DeRay McKesson on stage, and Jack Dorsey is wearing a hashtag Stay Woke shirt. Like, part of what feels like so frustrating about all of this to me is just like the broad conflation of like everything that people don't like about like, whether they call it cancel culture, what they didn't like about like racialized political consciousness or political consciousness along about issues of racial justice. Either one, take your pick. Like, all of this shit felt like it's just like, well, we're going to take the worst shit of that and we're going to lay that at the feet of like Francesca Hong. You know what I mean? Like, fuck that. Like, I'm just not like, it's a way
to rehash the same fucking narratives of like cancel culture. Don't you remember how annoying you guys were and how annoying you made us feel, how bad you made us feel for our
remember
positions?
How bad you made me, like an executive at LinkedIn, feel for whatever fucking like fuck like
and it's like, and they leaned into it at the time too as a marketing tool. And
it was cynical then. It's cynical now. Fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I'm not really interested in throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
But doing it right now also is annoying because you're basically in some respects like, were there excesses as far as like annoying tweets? It doesn't matter at the end of the day because the excesses of the moderates, as Julian Brave Noisecap points out, are foreign wars with death tolls in the hundreds of thousands, and the right's excesses are like literal attempts at authoritarianism, putting people in concentration camps. Like, if the worst thing that a left politician has is a fucking annoying tweet or whatever that is technically not wrong, right? But just like it makes you feel bad about
and look,
American history.
And none of this is about like not learning how to like prioritize certain messages over others, having to like be approachable in what you talk about, like use it, like, also like beginning discussions that you can finish and sound credible in, like, which is not always easy with talking about things like defund the police. Like, granted, this is what being like individually judicious and personally strategic means, right? And disciplined. But it is also just like, that doesn't mean I just like I just don't feel comfortable with like all the woke 1, pre-woke, woke 2, all that shit. Like, it's not a discussion or a frame of it I particularly like. And I think
it was just fake. It was always the thing that annoys me is like the corporate the corporate, like the corporatized version of like the sanitized identity politics and social justice was like very clearly a marketing technique, and people weren't wrong to call it out. I mean, I called it out at the time too.
Well, yeah, like, I remembered like being like suffering the consequences for being perceived as a person who like might have called like it's just like it's a little bit through the looking glass right now. I think a lot of the people also like some of the stuff that like really grinds my gears are seeing a lot of the people who were like hiring managers and editors in chief and senior executives at companies that like led the charge in some of the more dubious aspects of what they are now calling woke 1 or whatever. And it's just like, I would literally rather just like skip this by, pay it no mind, and try and move on and find more productive ways to talk about any of this shit.
Yeah. Just
because like the amount of hypocrisy that I feel like as somebody who has a memory longer than 10 minutes with this is like, it's going to make my eyes roll.
I also
back into the like, into fucking like 2011.
I also think it was really fucking annoying is the people who are like hyper obsessed with culture wars on the opposing side to be like, this is all culture wars. And then they become culture warriors themselves, like Zay Jelani, who literally has made it his life's mission to only talk about like woke 1 or how ridiculous it was, where you're like, okay, you're doing the same thing on the opposing side. Like you're and far worse because you happen to be also on the side that is like somewhat less empathetic, less moral, or less historically correct at the very least. And I find that to be just as unproductive as the people doing the opposite thing. Or if not more unproductive, because you're still a fucking culture warrior at the end of the day. Like, you're no different. You're not above it. You're not above it at all when all your output revolves around identity politics and how the shallow nature of it or the cynical deployment of it.
Well, I also think like what it really limits you with more than anything, right, is that it makes you into a certain kind of an idiot. And by a certain kind of an idiot, what I mean is that you lose Like, to me, a huge amount of like politics, and at least shapes what I think about what my own politics should be, is like where I see like the people. Like, where are the people who I want to be with and who espouse values and seem like talented and creative and have like an, you know, like a dynamic understanding of the world, and it evolves to suit it, and, you know, while retaining a commitment to the same kinds of values I hold. Like, I think about where are the people and how to get to them. And I really never find that like any of these people who organize their identity, organize their perspective, organize their frame of reference around these issues and around like the you know, quote unquote backlash of all this shit from the last decade and a half or whatever. Like, I just, the last 5 years in particular, I find that they're not with people. They're not in organizations. They're not committed to being a part of like the kind of fabric of life that I want to be in, and or that I think is healthy. It's if anything, like they're often like kind of parochial, and they're obsessed with like real like Norman Rockwell visions of what community life and relation are like. And I don't think that that's that surprising. These people also often struggle to make eye contact in real life. They dress badly. You know, they don't have I'm willing to go so far as to say that I find that like it is like an antisocial tendency, and that like the more and more you engage with people who think like that, the more and more it just comes out. And I'm not trying to talk about like specific individuals, like just more like as the last years have gone on, it's a thing I feel like I have noticed in encounters with people who think like that.
Yeah. All right. Now we're gonna move away from this to
the goal is to make him seem
the Pod Johns talking about unhinged Republican drops extremely racist ad.